Ah, genius. I mean, these little moments there.
Oh, nuggets.
That's
Pure gold.
That's the gold that
Yeah.
people will gloss over.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson, Richard James, and Chris Dale.
How exciting. Well, come on, I'm trying to generate a bit of, a bit of energy.
It's really working well. It is very exciting. Hello.
It's pod 296 of the Gerry Anderson Podcast.
Pod 296.
They know that because they've been listening and then watching every week since day one.
Not necessarily. It could be somebody's first time. If so, welcome along to the Gerry Anderson Podcast.
Yes.
That other voice you can hear is Richard Neinstein James.
That's right, but my middle name isn't actually Neinstein.
Come on.
Okay, for the purposes of the Gerry Anderson Podcast, it is. And across the table from me is Jamie...
Haven't got all day.
Anderson.
Brilliant.
How's that?
Yeah.
I couldn't think of any characters beginning with L.
I mean, you could have just done the actual middle name, which is Lionel, because that does have relevance to the
Yes.
Gerry Anderson universe.
Yes. What was the pod number for the Sean Feast interview?
I don't know that.
But if you want to know more about Lionel Anderson, that's the one to listen to for sure.
Yeah, 30-something,
Yeah,
maybe. It's very early
days.
days.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But since then, and even before then, we've been joined every single week by the Randomiser himself,
Yes.
Chris Dale.
Hello, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, guys.
Oh, there he is. He always looks so happy to be here, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I tell you what, it made his day, nay, his year, a few weeks ago when he had Sooty on the Randomiser.
Which I didn't know about that. Scandalous. Yes, how
he
exciting.
did.
No, Ronnie Ledrew was great.
Yeah, he was fun, wasn't he?
Yeah, I've seen a few people commenting very
Sure.
favourably on his interview.
Yeah.
And on your interviewing, in fact.
Well, I didn't want to say anything. Anyway, shall we move it? Shall I tell you what's coming up in this wonderful podcast?
Well, it's up to you.
Okay. Yeah, I think I will then.
Okay, please do.
So, in a moment, we've got Fab Facts. That's when you
Ooh.
take
Oh.
the wonderful tome of Fab Facts, flick through it, I shout Fab, and you rest upon a page, shout out the fact. No, you don't shout it out, you read it out.
I can shout it if you want.
Okay, look forward to that. We've got a news digest this week because it's the first of the month.
Yes.
First podcast of the month. It's not
Quite a
actually
lot
the first.
of news that has been happening and will be happening. So that's,
Wow.
yeah.
Exciting.
I actually made a list today rather than having to wing it.
Well done. A very special guest in the studio to be interviewed by Chris Dale,
Really?
Nicola Bryant.
Oh,
I mean, I don't
lovely
need to say any more than
Nicola.
that. I'm not even going to say that she was a Doctor Who companion, actress, Blackadder, and Casualty, Holby City, all sorts of stuff. Everyone knows
They all
Nicola
know that.
Bryant. I just need to say Nicola Bryant.
Thank goodness you wasted no time by giving her CV in short form.
And then Chris is back with the Randomiser. I mean, he's a busy boy.
He is very busy. He's doing some very exciting secret things, which I can't talk about.
Not even in the news.
No, I'm just alluding to them now. That's it.
And then, of course, we've got the Voice of the Podsterons. Our wonderful viewers and listeners have been emailing us, as ever, podcast@gerryanderson.com, and I shall be reading out their thoughts and comments, and probably so will you.
I might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Depends if I can be bothered.
That's all I've got to offer. How does that sound?
That's plenty.
Yeah, I think it is, isn't it? Good.
So, do you want me to go into Fab Facts, shouting the Fab Fact today?
God, go on then.
Okay, here's a very shouty Fab Fact.
Now, time for this week's Fab Facts.
Yes, Fab Facts.
I know.
Got a book of Fab Facts.
There it is.
Same old book, same old tome. It's the tome that keeps on giving.
Okay.
No?
Yeah, sure, if you like.
Okay, well, you've already explained the rules, so
Yeah.
should we just do it?
Yeah, go on,
All
yes.
right, here comes the flicking.
Fab!
Ooh.
What?
Well,
Good? Did I do well?
I've instantly
Have
seen...
I pleased you?
Yeah, you have pleased me. I've instantly seen a word that pleases me
Right.
in this Fab Fact.
Donut?
That's a bit harsh.
Lamb?
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are both offensive in their own way. Okay, so shouted, here we go. It's
No,
fair
no,
to
Jamie. You don't have to shout it. That was
Oh.
my mistake. You just speak normally.
Okay. Richard James,
Hello.
it's fair to say that one of the most popular parts of Terrorhawks was the end credits sequence.
Yes.
No Terrorhawks haters, not because it meant the show was over, but because it was time for the zeros and cubes to engage in a game of noughts and crosses. Tic-tac-toe for our American listeners.
Tic-tac-toe, yeah, what's that about?
Is that, I don't know, I mean, we have got a resident American in the studio today.
Yes, Ben Page is
Ben,
with us
Ben
this
Page,
week.
why is it called tic-tac-toe? Do we know?
He
No.
just-
Shrugging.
Oh, that's French. It's not even American.
Amazing. I don't know what it is in French. Okay, moving on. The idea
Tic-tac-toe.
that the end credits should feature a game involving the zeros and cubes came from animator Kevin Davis, who suggested first chess and then drafts, but Dad was keen to keep it simple and suggested the noughts and crosses that we all know and love.
Right.
Unless you're American.
Yeah.
Now, there were 39 episodes of Terrorhawks, but the Noughts and Crosses game was only played across 38 of those, since the Christmas episode instead featured a still of Sergeant Major Zero dressed as Father Christmas over the end credits, obviously.
Boy.
Brilliant photo,
Yep.
that.
Yep.
So, with an even number of episodes featuring the Noughts and Crosses game, does that mean that both sides had 19 victories and 19 defeats?
Oh, well, the law of averages would suggest that, wouldn't it?
Yes,
Right.
you're right.
Oh, there you go.
And we know because we've counted. Now, although there were 38 Noughts and Crosses games played, the Terrorhawks animators didn't actually animate 38 different games. How dare they? Instead, 3 games were animated in which the Zeroids won, and 3 were animated in which the Cubes won.
Right.
By flopping those 6 games over, you got 6 more games.
Clever.
It was 12 games.
Yeah.
Plus 1 more unique to the first episode. That one each appeared 3 times, more or less,
I
over
see.
the course of the series.
Okay.
As for whether anyone working on the show was keeping track of whether the Zeroids or Cubes were winning,
No.
who knows?
Ah.
Although had Terrorhawks not returned for a second season, then the first season would have ended with the Cubes beating the Zeroids 13 games to 12.
Right.
However, we should point out that the Cubes only ever won by cheating.
Right.
So really, they should have been disqualified after the first episode, and therefore the Zeroids win by default.
Oh, okay. Controversial.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's it. That's the Fab Fact.
That's it. That was quite
Yeah.
short.
It was short, wasn't
Wow,
it?
I like that one.
Short, sweet,
Yeah.
naughty and crossy.
Shorter the better. Interesting, though. That gives people something to hang on to, doesn't it? Have that sequence at the end.
Does it?
Well, you keep watching.
Oh, keeps you
don't
watching.
It's a bit like our end of show bants that, keeps people watching throughout the whole of
That
the
keeps the
podcast.
retention rates up on YouTube. Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? Stops them dropping to 0 and drop to 1%
Just about.
instead.
Only because I'm watching. I watch them all.
Yeah, watch the
Yeah,
straight through.
nice. Yeah, good.
That's,
then.
that's a nice little sweet Terrorhawks thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and who doesn't remember that closing sequence?
Well, anyone who's never watched Terrorhawks, I guess.
Fair enough.
So go. You should go and watch Terrorhawks if you haven't already.
All
so,
right.
So you can just
What
see
now?
that end title sequence. Yeah, let's go and do it now.
Great, okay.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Right.
So I guess that brings us very tidily to the end of this week's.
Yeah. Tic-tac-toe fact!
No.
What? Where were you going with it?
I don't know where I was going with it. I just stopped after the letter G.
Okay, fine. You're watching, nay, listening to the Gerry Anderson podcast. Maybe doing both. Some people do both. Some people watch and
Yeah,
then
they
listen.
should be.
Yeah. Here's a thought for you. Did you know the Gerry Anderson podcast is now premiering on a Sunday evening on YouTube on video at 7 p.m.?
I'd noticed you'd been playing around with that.
So,
Do you want to explain your thinking?
Well, it's Sunday night, isn't it? I thought it might be a nice opportunity for all the Podsterons and casual viewers to gather round their laptops and their phones and join us for the premiere on a Sunday night at 7
Or their
o'clock.
smart TVs, because they can,
Yeah.
bring up the YouTube app.
I mean,
on...
what else is there on a Sunday? Antiques Roadshow?
I mean, this is sort of an Antiques Roadshow in its own way, isn't it? So, yeah.
Oh, dear. There we go. Now, we did promise, didn't we, that every fourth podcast there would be a bit of a news digest.
Oh, yes.
So I think that's over to you, Jamie.
Let me just put down my coffee and I'll
Right.
do that.
Always prepared.
First up, as many of you already know because you will have bought tickets,
Oh, yes.
stand by for Action 2, Tunes of Danger.
Amazing.
It's coming on the 13th of July at Symphony Hall, Birmingham, hosted by John Culshaw and Genevieve Gaunt.
Lovely.
With a very special surprise still to be announced.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you want me to bring my officer orange underpants? Is that-
Oh,
No?
not again, please. I've now got images of it was Paul, wasn't
Yeah,
it, wearing his Officer Orin underpants in the concert hall. Okay, let's move on from that. So this show is not the same as last time.
Oh.
New content.
Great.
Some new content that was much requested. I'm not going to go into this yet because
Sure.
it's to be announced.
Oh, yeah.
But there will be a filmic theme.
Right, okay,
possibly.
yes, I think I know where you're going with
That'll
that, yes.
probably do.
Yep.
Some things that didn't make it into
Yep.
last time.
Yeah, right.
And lots of kind of medleys and sweets. Because the
Ooh,
one thing I felt
lots of
last
sweets.
time, I don't know how you felt, but when John was introducing a block of tracks, even just say UFO and Space 1999 themes, there'd be a little gap between.
Yeah.
And people would be when they want to clap. But
Yeah.
the next thing was starting because it was really rigidly timed to the video.
Yes.
This time, everything is going to sort of smoothly flow from one to the other. So you'll be able
Wow.
to sit and be immersed in kind of 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes of just pure Anderson musical joy.
Fantastic.
How does that sound?
That sounds amazing. Yeah, great.
Okay, well, that's happening. So
Can I go?
Yeah, I've got you on the list already.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks.
Now, I don't know if there's going to be anything else around it, like a live podcast. That was quite a...
Just don't know.
It's quite a lot last time to try and do. But we'll see what we can do. There will be some other bits and pieces happening in and around Birmingham, I'm sure. So stand by for more announcements on that.
Yeah.
You will have also seen, I'm sure, the recent pre-order release of the Fireball XL5 Technical Operations Manual and Special Edition.
Ooh.
By now, the time the podcast goes out, Special Edition's probably sold out, I suspect.
12th of February.
Yeah, they were maybe 10 left when I looked last, so probably sold out. That will be coming in April, I think, delivering in April, so not that long. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing, really lovely retro design, and another one of our fantastic technical manuals. Chris Thompson being an incredible, prolific outputter of technical stuff.
I bet that's the first time he's been called that.
Prolific outputter, yes. Yeah, let's move on. Have you watched the Into Infinity Blu-ray?
Not yet, I must confess.
That's.
I have been a bit busy.
That's bad form of you,
yeah,
isn't it?
I'm sorry about that.
Yes.
Didn't know I was supposed to watch it.
A room full of tuts there because of you.
Mind you, I wasn't sent a copy, so...
Oh, okay, well, tut to me in that case. But it's got a lovely extra feature made by our very own Chris Randomiser Dale.
Oh, yes.
Filmed by Ross Arrowsmith, your favourite member of the podcast, I believe.
Well,
Actually,
not after this morning.
Let's move
not
on.
With the screen debacle.
I know, ridiculous. How long has he been here? It's a lovely thing, looks great, interview's fantastic. Brian Blessed, Blessed just being Brian Blessed, and an amazing audio commentary with him and Kate Levy.
Lovely.
It's a lovely thing. That's a limited edition. Well, there's maybe 150 of the 1,000 left, I think. So if you want it, do grab it. It's region ABC, so you can play it anywhere in the world. Now, I've written the phrase "lovely Stingray."
Oh,
not sure what that meant.
Maybe you were just going to say generally that Stingray is quite lovely. That's not really news, though, is it? Because we know that. Anyway.
I think it's actually the Corgi Stingray special edition, sold out in 12 hours or something ridiculous like that. It's a lovely little model. I've got mine on my shelf already. We are out of stock of the standard, but I think it'll be back in fairly soon. Speaking of Stingray, actually, it's coming Talking Pictures.
Is it?
Yeah, our lovely friends at Talking Pictures. They've done Fireball and Thunderbirds. They've now added Stingray to the roster. That starts on the 2nd of March.
Great.
So if you're in the UK, it's free to air, I think.
Yes.
On, I don't know what the channel numbers are, but just search for Talking Pictures TV and you will find it. I've seen some lovely reviews coming in for the Terrahawks books that we did for the 40th anniversary, particularly for Flaming Thunderbolts, the complete story of Terrahawks, a lovely thing. And my final thing on the News Digest is stand by for more standing by for action.
What on earth could that mean? Stand by for more standing by for action.
Yes.
But you've already covered that, haven't you? Was this something else?
No, this is something else. So stand by for more standing by for action. Podsterons.
What a tease.
That's me. And that is the end of this week's Gerry Anderson News Digest.
Oh, that was the news. That was the news.
Digest.
Yeah, that's right. That's good. Excellent. Good.
Can I just say?
Yeah.
That was not rehearsed.
Well, I think that's plainly obvious to anyone watching.
I think it was perfect. It was beautiful.
Was it?
Lovely.
Yeah.
That's what nearly 300 episodes does for you.
Right.
That sort of simpatico vibe between us where you can just riff off that digest thing. Amazing.
Yeah. It's taken us that long to get there.
Yeah, let's move on.
And it won't happen again.
No, never.
Right, coming up a bit later, we've got the Voice of the Podsterons, because our lovely viewers and listeners have been emailing us at podcast@gerryanderson.com. Also, I should say, of course, you can subscribe to us on whichever platform you're listening.
Don't have to, but we'd love it if you would.
Oh, they don't have to?
Well, I looked at the Apple stats recently.
Yeah.
It's improved. Do you remember before it was something ridiculous like 7%, wasn't it, that subscribed? It's actually close to 20%.
Well done. Well done you.
So
Thank you for that.
That's pretty good. But there's still something like 4,000 people a month on Apple alone that don't subscribe.
Yeah, well,
or don't follow. So what are you playing about?
Great. Also, the randomiser coming up a little later. But before that, I think it's time to let Chris Dale off the leash.
Oh, not again.
Yeah, because I think he's got an interview with the wonderful Nicola Bryant. Shall we hand over to Chris Dale and Nicola?
Let's have a nice rest.
Having trained at the Webber Douglas School of Dramatic Art, this week's guest's first professional role was the American companion Perry in Doctor Who, a part she played for 3 years, but that's just the beginning of her many talents. She has also made guest appearances in Blackadder's Christmas Carol, Casualty, Doctors, Holby City, and 3 series of The Biz, as well as numerous appearances on the stage. It's Nicola Bryant.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Nicola, thank you ever so much for coming all the way to Slough today to see us and be part of the Gerry Anderson podcast. you have a good journey?
Yes, actually, it was fairly simple.
Good.
So, yes.
Now, one of the earliest guests we had on the podcast was one of your Doctor Who successors, Miss Sophie Aldred, whose Anderson fandom is reasonably well known. But we gather that you too were also watching quite a few Anderson shows as a little girl.
I think all.
All?
I think all.
That's quite
Unless
a claim
I've
to make.
missed one.
Yes.
But I think there is one that I didn't catch, which when I was looking through them all, I was thinking, oh, I don't remember seeing that. And I think, I know of Joe 90, but then there was another one, I think, before or after that I didn't
Yes,
catch.
even more obscure.
Yes.
Okay, well, you sound quite confident on the whole identifying these shows
Yes.
front. So we're going to open with a little game we like to play called Super Identification.
Right.
This is where we
Gonna
show
test
you,
me.
yes indeed, brief clips
Okay.
of all 18 Gerry Anderson
Oh,
shows.
okay. I don't have 18.
They go past very quickly,
Right.
but when you know them, you can shout out
Right.
what they are, and we will keep score on a little cardboard figure
Oh,
of you.
dear.
Yes.
Oh, dear.
So, if you are ready, we will
Okay.
run super identification and see
I don't
how
remember
well you
signing
do.
up for this. That's not, is it? What's that?
It might be.
Sorry. Am I supposed to keep up with this? No, I
Just
don't know.
shout out what you think they are.
Okay, well that's our Terrable, is it? No? Oh gosh, I'm not doing very well here.
I wish I was a spaceman. Stand by for action.
Oh, I know that one's Thunderbird. No, that's Stingray. There we go. Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds.
Yes. Oh, I got 2 so far or something. Captain Scarlet.
Yep.
Joe 90.
Yep.
Now, that was Father something, but we didn't have that one in my area. Okay, so now that was UFO, and it's the Pretenders, and that's UFO.
This is an emergency.
Okay, so then. No, don't know that one. Was that?
You just want it to stop now, don't you?
I just want to watch them. No, I can't do this.
No?
I'm hopeless. I can't work that fast. What, that was useless. What did I get, like 3 or something?
I make it 5 there.
Okay.
Yes, there were a couple that I think you knew,
I
but
wasn't
just
sure
couldn't
whether
get
that was
the word
like,
out
is
in
that
time.
going into another one? Or no, I should have looked at the numbers.
So I'm going to
That was
officially
rubbish.
mark you as 5.
That's about my age.
If
yes.
you're happy with that, yes,
that
indeed.
will do.
And we shall add you to our little roster of...
Which is probably at the
Well,
bottom.
here. No, you're not.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, now, when you were watching these shows when you were younger, which ones specifically do you remember, regardless of getting the titles there?
The first that I remember was Stingray, and I think if I'm getting these in the correct chronological order. And I'm thinking so what was the year of Stingray? Can you tell me
this
that?
is the 60th anniversary year, so it's 64.
It's 64.
Yeah.
That would make sense. So I'm starting to worry about myself, thinking about the thoughts I had as a 4-year-old while watching this show.
Oh, dear.
Yes, because I think what I can trace is that I basically fell in love with most of the leading men in the Gerry Anderson series.
Right.
Yes, exactly. I'm thinking
These
4's a
would be
bit young, but
puppets.
hey,
These
obviously.
are puppets, yes?
The puppets.
The puppets,
The
okay,
puppets, yes,
right.
I know. I am certifiable.
I wasn't sure whether to ask you about this, but yes, since you brought it up.
Well, it was geared to that.
Yeah.
I think, in so many ways.
They were these dashing, handsome, heroic
They were.
leads. Yes.
And I expected life to be like Gerry Anderson world. And, sometimes it's been like that, and often it's been rather disappointing.
Yes, we find a lot of people say that. It's a great shame, unfortunately. So did watching shows like Stingray as a kid generate an interest in sci-fi for you?
Yes, I think it did. I mean, sci-fi was so important, I think, at that time. My father read a lot of sci-fi. And so as I got older, I was picking up his books. My father would watch all these programs with us. My father would get in the car and he would do Parker's voice, and I would be Lady Penelope. And I'd
Of
go,
course.
home, Parker.
Wow.
Yes, my lady. And he'd drive me home, and that would be from school or somewhere, and that was how we did. And if things were good, it was FAB and, and SIG, and these things were said all the time as a matter of course.
So we definitely have a core memory there of Stingray and Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet. And then you say from Joe 90 and the Secret Service was the one with Stanley Unwin.
Ah, right, yes.
They weren't played in as many regions.
Yes.
Which may account for the fact that you don't have particularly strong memories, as indeed a lot of people don't. I think the Secret Service was only played in 3 regions, so it didn't generate as big an interest as the others. Was it something that you sort of carried with you beyond childhood very far, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I could still sing most of the theme tunes. Don't
We won't
test
ask
me.
you to. No.
But yes, I think it stays with you. It's the way that Doctor Who fans talk to me as well, in that it's kind of there's a little core memory of a really good and happy and wholesome part of your childhood, which was full of your own imagination and the imagination that was expanded by science fiction.
Well, that's something that I think Tom Baker speaks quite eloquently about, of meeting people as adults who were little kids when they watched him and the feelings that it stirs up in them. You mentioned Doctor Who there, so I think it's about time that we take a look at a vintage episode of Doctor Who that you were in from 1986.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
if you're comfortable with that.
That's fine, yes. Oh, similar weather.
Yes.
The exhilarating smell of a freshly laundered forest. Can't beat it.
And the twittering of tiny birds and the rustle of small mammals as they forage for food in the undergrowth.
Exactly.
Well, you're better hearing than me. There aren't any birds. Listen.
I wondered when you'd notice.
None of this makes any sense. Any soul left after the visitation of a fireball would be sterile.
Well done.
Don't patronize me, Doctor. You knew from the start this amount of growth wasn't possible.
I also knew that as a student of botany, you'd soon realize the truth without any prompting from me.
Maybe. Is there any intelligent life here?
Well, apart from me, you mean? Don't know. Should find out.
The Doctor and Perry there in happier times before Thoros Beta. So I'm interested, obviously Perry was, I suppose, offered to you as she is going to be an American companion. Was there any sense of having watched these shows where you have a fair amount of Canadian and Australian actors doing American accents, but you also have the likes of David Graham in Thunderbirds doing, a British actor doing American accents.
Yeah.
Was there anything you took from the likes of Thunderbirds in terms of the American voice artists and the sound when it came to Perry?
Well, it's there is a great correlation there, isn't there? Because you have got your American voices, like Shane and Matt, but then you've also got the British actors doing the voices as well, and I had sort of grown up with those sounds. So when people say, was an American difficult? I think, no, because that was my childhood, listening to those voices.
Yeah.
And then I'd also married an American, and I actually basically had stuck with American and Canadians because I was just trying to recreate the Gerry Anderson world. And so it was totally a tune that my ear was used to listening to.
We have here a Space 1999 lunchbox with some questions from our loyal Podsteron listeners. How about you dig out a couple there for yourself?
Okay.
And
I've
see what
gone
you make
for
of those. We've had quite a
big
lot of
long one
questions
here.
for you. Oh, that looks like quite a long one.
Oh, so this is from, I don't know if I'm going to say the name right, Anthony Zetzner. I hope I've said that name correctly, Anthony. What's it like having your own Perry action figure and being a pop culture icon? If you could have chosen Perry's attire, what would you have preferred she had worn? Also, your character Perry is a botanist. If you were to have a flower named after you, what would it look like?
There's several questions in one there.
Yes, that's a busy piece of paper.
Yes.
It's so large. Right, well, having an action figure, well, that's a bit surreal, isn't
You've
it?
got several action figures, haven't you?
Surreal.
Yeah.
I like that Colin told me, that all of his dolls are sort of lined up in his toilet.
Of
And
course,
people
best place
put
to
them
keep
into
them, yeah.
various positions. I've now got some in my cloakroom as
Right.
well. But mostly because I had young stepsons, I would let them play with the dolls. And I remember my youngest stepson.
It's not
looking
always a
at-
good idea, is it?
Well,
No.
And so my youngest, Toby, said to me when he looked at one of them, I think it was the Vengeance on Varos one in the blue shorts, whatever, and he went, "That's not your bottom." I wasn't quite sure whether mine was better or worse than the dolls, but
Well,
that was his opinion. I said, "I don't think those are my knees either, because they've got great big bolts kind
Yes,
of going
indeed.
through them." So, yes, it's surreal.
it is very surreal, yes.
Yes.
I'm not sure where we go from there. I suspect back to the piece of paper for the other questions.
If I could have chosen Perry's attire, what would you have preferred she had worn? Well, here I am today. We are in the month of February. I'm wearing a wool polo neck, a thermal vest underneath this, very sensible flat shoes, thick socks and leggings. Any of that put
So
together.
sensible and practical.
Sensible,
basically,
practical,
yes.
comfortable,
Yes.
warm.
How was that costume that we saw in that clip just there compared to some of the others? Because that, as you said, that was quite a
That looks
cold-looking
fine,
day.
but it's absolutely rubbish. Because it's a cotton jacket made out of something about as thick as a paper napkin. There's no lining. And then there's a sort of silk top. No lining and not a lot of room. Just squeezed, I think, a thermal vest on underneath that. And then very, very, very thin cotton trousers, which had elastic to go under my foot so that I could wear like a pop sock, like a fake tight with a pair of shoes. No. Thick socks, boots, stuff for woolly trousers, thermals.
Sensible
Any of
and
these
practical.
things would have
That's
been
what we need,
appreciated.
yeah.
A pair of gloves, a scarf, a hat,
Anything to avoid
hypothermia,
and similar
frostbite,
conditions.
and other
yes.
such things.
Oh dear. Well, let's dig back into the tin. We'll have. Oh,
I think
you
I didn't
get all
answer
of
the
those?
last question,
One,
which is
yes, the flower.
if a flower, I would be a gerbena.
Right.
That's the kind
Why
of
is
flower
that?
I would like. It's like a daisy, but a very nice. It's like a giant daisy.
Oh,
Perhaps like a science fiction version of a small daisy.
right.
I'll leave that thought with you. Right.
Take yourself one more there. We'll
Okay.
come back to the rest of these in a bit.
Okay, what have we got here? Do you enjoy coming back for the 60th anniversary celebration starring in the Tales from the TARDIS? I think that's more did. But I did. Yes, I
Yes.
did.
It was a
Absolutely,
lovely
I
little
did.
scene, wasn't it?
And it
Yes.
was great to be inside another TARDIS.
Yeah. With Colin
And-
again.
Yes, with Colin. And that actual keyboard that we used in our version of Tales of the TARDIS is in the current TARDIS.
Oh, right.
So it was one of those things that when I went to visit the TARDIS, which we were privileged to do,
Was that after you shot the tails
Yes.
thing? Right.
I then saw, oh my goodness, we actually have a piece of that TARDIS. So it's like all the TARDIS, the TARDI, had a piece in the little TARDIS that we were in,
Well, that's
the memory
fantastic.
TARDIS. So it was very sweet.
So you've been on the new TARDIS set. Do you get to go on all the new TARDIS sets every time there's a new one?
I
or
don't
is it-
know.
No.
I'm going to try for that now.
Yes, I think you should. Yes. Well, you mentioned Matt.
Yes.
Which, of course, Matt Zimmerman.
Matt
the
Zimmerman.
voice of Alan Tracy
Yes.
from Thunderbirds. I would imagine, having been on the convention circuit for several decades at this point, you encountered a lot of the voice actors from Thunderbirds and other Anderson shows. Did you build up any special relationships with
Yes.
Matt and others?
I got to know Shane from the conventions, but I had worked with Matt on several corporates
Oh,
that
right.
we'd done together. So I would be playing an American in a corporate, and then Matt would be another American in
Right.
a corporate. So, and I was in love, in that very fickle way, with both Scott and Virgil. So
And Virgil, but not Alan?
Not Alan. No,
No?
I was definitely not in love with them.
Oh, well.
No, sorry about that, Alan. Yes, definitely in love with both of them. And my first husband was called Scott, and I blame that entirely on Thunderbirds.
Of course, yeah.
And yes, so I got to meet them, and we had long and lovely chats about Thunderbirds, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, they always came across as very nice. I saw them several
Lovely.
times at conventions.
Really,
I remember one
really
time I was standing by a door at the end of a day, and Shane just happened to be leaving, and he went, "Goodbye, Chris," and I was like, there was no one else around, so he obviously meant me. I didn't even know that I'd registered with him, but apparently I had, and that was the great thing. They always made you feel, as indeed all of the people involved with Doctor Who do, they make you feel like you are, you're very welcome, like you're old friends, essentially, when you go to see them at these signings.
Well, there are some fans that you see again and again and again. They do start to feel like old
friends. Do you
friends.
have anyone in mind?
Yes, exactly.
Yes? Okay. Moving on then. We have another clip to play you here. This is your first Anderson memory.
Oh, yes.
Or earliest Anderson memory. Now, you've sort of hinted at what your first Anderson show was, so it shouldn't be any surprise to anyone watching what we're about to see. But let's have a look anyway.
Okay.
Stand by for action.
Yes! Stingray.
Brings back memories.
We're about to launch Stingray. Stingray, 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 Stingray. Anything can happen in the next half hour.
The opening titles of Stingray.
Perfect, isn't it?
60
It's a
years
little
old this
piece
year.
of perfection.
But it doesn't look it, does it?
No.
It's so obviously the 1960s, but it's also there's this timeless factor to
Yes,
it that it's never gonna age. So of the three puppet shows that you mostly remember, Stingray, Thunderbirds, and Scarlet, which one is the king?
That's like who's your favourite Doctor?
Yeah. That's probably in the
that's
tin
probably in there somewhere.
yeah.
But different shows at different ages, because you're growing. So if you think I started at 4 and then 7 and then 9, I'm sort of growing as the shows are growing.
Yeah.
Captain Scarlet is amazing. What I love in every single one of these stories, it's like you're in instantly. Anything can happen in the next half hour, and you go, yes, it can. What's it going to be?
A lot of opening title
It's like,
sequences.
It gets you the adrenaline going.
Yeah, a lot of opening title sequences. You see them, and then the program starts, and the program is nothing like the opening titles makes you think it will be. That one, that is
This
Stingray
sets you
all
up.
the way through. Yeah,
And had there been a skip button, the way you can skip through the beginning, you would never, ever
that's one of
skip through
the worst
any
inventions.
of the titles for
one
these.
of the worst inventions of the 21st century.
There
The
are a
skip-
couple of ones where you think, perhaps, on these shows where you've got, watching the 36th episode.
Oh, yeah.
And if the music isn't as good as that, then you definitely want to
the
press
Anderson
that.
shows
But
were punching.
I could be watching episode 957 and I would not want to skip that theme tune.
And it's interesting you mention the idea of growing up with the shows, because I think a lot of people find that going from Stingray, which is a lot of the time a bit of sort of knockabout fun, Thunderbirds is more grand adventure, and then you get to Captain Scarlet, which is far darker and often quite
so dark,
quite downbeat.
It's not children's television.
No.
An accusation that was made by, of course, against Doctor Who.
Yes.
But what it means is it's great.
Yeah.
That's what it means. It's
That's what kids want to
exciting
see,
and
yes.
dangerous. And if I think about it now, I mean, literally you start with this scary voice and a dark alley.
Yeah.
And then someone shoots people and they're all dead and we haven't even got to the titles. It's not started.
No.
And you're like, this is the kind of kids' television I like.
It's very, very brutal, in your face. Yeah, it's not going to pull any punches.
And scary. It's mysterious. We don't know what we're fighting against.
No, it's invisible.
I mean, it's just a couple of rings.
Yes, that can strike
which
anyone.
I reconstructed with a torch and plasticine around the torch to try and create the sort of the O shape on the wall. You know, so I could do it to my sister. They're coming for you.
Did it work?
It was a bit rubbish, but we thought it was great, you know. And it was just all imagination and all immediacy and all danger, but thrilling danger and sci-fi danger, UFO danger.
I think Scarlet has that thing as well that Doctor Who has to a certain extent of you're scared, but you're also not too scared that you want to stop watching, essentially.
And if you
want
are
to keep
scared,
going.
you still, you really want to watch.
Yeah.
That's it. You're hooked now. It's like doing those rides, those scary rides that some people like.
Absolutely,
You know, they want to go back and do it again.
Right, we've got some more questions in the tin for you, if you dig out one or two more of those. What you got there?
Now that Big Finish are telling new tales from the world of Anderson, is there a character you would like to have a crack at? Well, all of them.
All of them?
I definitely want to be Lady Penelope.
Oh.
I mean, that's...
We do already
definitely.
have one.
I
yes,
know.
But you could...
I know.
I don't know.
It's so
There might be
cruel.
some way we can make something happen.
What else would I mean, villainous. I like the villains' voices
Yeah.
now. I mean, that feels more attuned to me. I loved the fact that in Captain Scarlet, all the pilots were women.
Yes.
And that there was the French pilot and various accents
Oh,
throughout
yes.
those.
Did that, again, fuel your interest in voice work, or...?
No, well, I wasn't thinking in those
No.
terms then. I was just, although, of course, I was imitating everyone,
Yes.
I wasn't thinking about it in terms of my career, because at that point I still very much wanted to be a ballerina. But it was more inspiring to think that the women weren't just the housekeepers.
Yeah.
Or the wives whose dinners got cold because he hasn't come back from his adventure. You know, it was the fact that they are a part of it. And
Yeah.
the first thing that is launched, off they go.
Yeah.
Off go the angels, you know.
Or if International Rescue can't handle it on their own, the boys are in over their heads a bit, we get Lady Penelope in to sort everything out and
Handles
save the day.
British end.
Yes, as they say. We have one more clip, I think, here to play you for this week. This is again from the 1980s. Another character with a particularly distinctive voice.
Oh.
Yes, I'm sure you know who this is.
It is still the season of good cheer, and we have all our Christmas treats. Nuts, turkey, and presents. Oh, and my goddaughter Millicent. Secure the ornaments, Baldric, and so we put all our presents under our little tree. A scarf for me, a pair of gloves, Mr. Baldric, and a hat for me. Millicent, to what do I owe this excellent pleasure?
I just thought I'd pop round, you know, just on the off chance. Well, you know, Christmas is a time traditionally connected with presents.
It is indeed. And look, a lovely hat for my dear goddaughter.
Oh, thanks. Oh, and look, a scarf and a pair of gloves to match. That's not bad, I suppose.
Yes, jolly good.
I'm sorry I can't stop. I thought perhaps I might come back tomorrow at lunchtime.
Oh, what a splendid idea.
It'll just be little me and my teensy boyfriend, so cook a couple of extra turkeys. Thanks for all the prezzies.
Why don't you take the flipping tree?
Oh, you are
Bye. My, what a jolly young girl.
Yeah, pity she nicked all the presents.
So a two-part question for that. Where did that laugh come from, and where is it now?
Oh, well, to answer the second part first, it's still there.
Yes?
But I don't like using it very often.
No,
I get
that's fine. Quite
requested a great deal. But yes, no, it's still perfectly available.
Fantastic. So how did that all come about?
Well, when I did the audition for the part, they said they were looking to create this sort of very strange, odd character, possibly with a very peculiar laugh. And I think I got the job because I said, well, I collect laughs.
Ah.
And they were like, okay. And I said, well, here's the woman on the train as I was travelling down, because I was working in Chester at the time.
Right.
And I gave them the woman on the train, which was a particularly interesting laugh. I can't remember who she was, but it was one that was just fresh in my mind. And then I said, and this is the laugh that I'm currently using, playing Honey in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. And that was Honey's laugh. And then I think that kind of got them intrigued that my ear was attuned to that. And then when we got to the rehearsal, Ben Elton said, I'm looking for something so irritating, so obnoxious, a sort of machine gun, staccato, high-pitched, horrible. And then, because of the way that the BBC rehearsal rooms were set up, we were on the gents' toilet floor. And he literally, the only space where you could go and be quiet was the gents' toilet. So I went into the gents' toilet to find my laugh.
Okay.
So I found it in the gents' toilet.
Right.
And then I went back and gave them, I said, this is your first option. And they went with the first option.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
So they had a choice.
They did. And Secure the Ornaments had not been in the script until they heard my sound. And then from that came those extra 2 lines, because they felt they needed to say something about it after I'd left.
Oh, my goodness. But they were nice to work with,
lovely.
Tony and Rowan,
Everybody
yes?
was lovely.
Oh, fantastic.
Really lovely.
Let's give you one more question from our listeners here.
Okay. Let's try this one. What have we got?
Ooh.
From Andrew Leyland.
Ah.
What is your favourite breed of dog?
Ah, the main question.
Now, you see, everyone will expect me to say
Dachshunds.
Dachshund.
Yes.
Because I have 2 3/4 Dachshunds, and I do love those. But I think my favourite breed is Rescue.
Ah, yes.
You know, because they are incredible dogs. Harvey's an incredible dog, but I don't think...
So Marnie's a rescue, isn't she?
Yeah, Marnie's a rescue. And I don't think I'm breed specific in that I think when you rescue a dog, it does so much for your own soul and your own heart, and watching them develop and knowing you've saved a little life is just the best feeling in the world.
It's a wonderful thing to have done, yeah. Well, I think that brings us to the end of part 1 of our interview. Would you like to come
only
back
been 5
next
seconds.
week? I know. But before we let you go for this week, where can our listeners find you online if they fancy following you?
I am on Twitter. I think I'm the Nicola Bryant, which was meant to be a joke because I think there's another one. And same hashtag on Instagram. I think I'm also to be found on other sites that I don't
Threads
inhabit. I'm on Threads.
yeah.
Threads is pretty fun. And I'm on this other thing, Bluebird or whatever it's called, Blue Sky.
Oh, Blue Sky, yeah.
Yes, but I haven't really cottoned on to that one.
And of course, Harvey and Marnie have their own Instagram, I believe.
Harvey and Marnie do, but they're very lazy.
Oh,
They are
dear.
very lazy. I've
Well,
not
they
trained
haven't
them
got
well
the
enough.
opposable thumbs to work the phone.
They should
so,
work better.
Yes.
Yes, it's those dew claws. They're not very good.
They're doing their best.
Yes, you know.
So you'll come back next week for part
Next
2
week,
of this interview?
and
Yes.
if I could just stay till the summer, and then
Yeah.
we might be finished by about
Well,
end of
we'll
June.
still be here. Yeah,
I think
that's
so.
fine.
Fine.
Well, that wraps it up for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, Nicola Bryant.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Nicola Bryant. What a joy and a pleasure.
I know.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk it?
Who would have thunk it? And I think all born out of some tweets that Chris Dale noticed a while back.
Really?
Where she commented on having watched some Gerry Anderson shows.
Well done, Chris.
So we thought, well, we must get her in.
Yeah.
And there she was, back next week.
So she should be.
For more thoughts, and no doubt we'll be hearing more about her favourite Anderson memories and things like that. And
bit about her work, I hope, as well.
yeah. Very busy woman,
A
actually.
little bit of chat about Big Finish, perhaps.
Now, Big Finish, of course, yes. Yes.
She does that too.
Would you like to open the door and it's getting a bit stuffy in here, isn't it? So should we let some air in?
What are you saying?
Oh.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
This is the voice of the Podsterons.
Yes, it's the Voice of the Podsterons podcast at gerryanderson.com is the easy to remember email address.
It's so easy.
Isn't it?
One never forgets it.
Quite. For example, Jake F. Grave says, as Chris Dale would say, Hi guys. There. Just now, I was looking at Chris Thompson's beautiful size chart of the Gerry Anderson vehicles. And at the same time, I was thinking about those videos that compare the sizes of things, open brackets, buildings, planets, fictional objects, etc.
Of course.
Close brackets.
Yes.
I don't know about the possibility of this, but would it be possible to create a video showing every Anderson vehicle from smallest to largest?
Gosh.
I know it's just a random idea, but I wonder what other Podsterons think of it. Keep up the good work, Jake F. Grave.
I think a complete video.
Yes.
With every vehicle.
Yes.
From smallest to largest would be great.
Yes.
And I think the Randomiser should begin work on that immediately.
Right. No. He's not even listening.
No.
No. But what would be... Tell me, what is the smallest and what is the largest?
I don't know.
Anyone? The smallest? No. Blank looks. Largest. Thunderbird 4, potentially. Mole, maybe?
Well, no, wouldn't it be the little little Stingray mini things?
Stingray mini things.
Aqua Sprites. That's pretty small, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the...
Anyway, Podsterons.
Yeah, the Jetmobiles.
The Jetmobiles.
Jetmobiles.
Okay. We obviously need some help from our listeners. Get in touch. Let us
Yes.
know. Smallest and largest, that's all we're after.
Well,
we don't even know. We run the Gerry Anderson podcast.
I know, but we don't profess to be the complete experts in these things.
No,
we're just what was it? A couple of middle-aged blokes
you
talking
keep
about boring
bringing
stuff.
that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? Why do you keep going back to that?
It's the truth. I've got a very short one.
I had heard.
From Jack McMorrow here.
Yes.
Jack McMorrow says, I miss the weekly news. The news is my favourite segment.
Right.
And he signs off, witness the fitness of reflection of perfection.
What does that mean?
I don't know. But I like it. I feel like it's a direct compliment to us somehow.
Yeah, okay, fine, I'll take that. But he misses the news. Well, you've just had a bit of a chunk there, so...
Yeah.
that'll do
Isn't
for a
it
few
more
weeks.
exciting to have it now and then you build up the anticipation? No?
Hi, Jamie, Richard, and Chris. Just wondering if Craig Morris answered your text, Jamie, about the old radio interviews with Gerry. I have to say, I was quite chuffed that you read out the email and live texted Craig during the podcast, and it got me thinking, am I the first Podsteron to affect the running of an episode? Anyway, looking forward to a great year and all things Gerry Anderson. Kind regards from Joe Etheridge. So you had a response. What was even the question?
The question was, Craig, we've had a question on the podcast. Have you got recordings of your old interviews with Dad?
Right.
Craig responded 2 hours and 21 minutes later.
Yeah, well, okay.
Sadly not.
Oh. Well, that's got to be the biggest letdown ever.
Yeah, so there you go. There's your answer.
Well,
I hope it was worth waiting
that's
for.
True. It was an answer. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but other things turn up all the time. We're always finding new old interviews and stuff like that. So, although Craig's are lost, there'll be somebody else somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll find more. I have got one here from Guy Knowles from Stockton-on-Tees in County Durham.
Have you? Have you?
I was feeling it lyrical then.
Yeah, it's nice.
Hello, Jamie, Richard and Chris of the Gerry Anderson podcast, just so we don't get confused with the other Jamie, Richard and Chris of some other podcast. My name is Guy Knowles. We know
Hello,
that
Guy.
guy because I've read the end already. Sorry. And I'm a huge fan of Gerry Anderson shows like Thunderbirds, Stingray, Captain Scarlet, Joe 90, and the list goes on. I love listening to you all on the Gerry Anderson podcast, and I love Chris Dale's Randomiser. And I can't wait till the Thunderbirds episode, Operation Crash Dive, comes out on it, which is my favourite Thunderbirds episode, by the way. Well, that makes sense why he's so excited about it.
Yes.
I have many questions about Thunderbirds.
Oh, no.
But one that I can't stop thinking about is, what does Parker have that Carano doesn't? I mean, this could open a can of worms. I really like Carano and wish he was featured more, but why is Parker, Lady Penelope's butler for those who don't know, why does he become such a flagship character over the decades, even though he doesn't reside on Tracy Island? I would also have preferred that Tintin, Carano's daughter, was the main female character in Thunderbirds instead of Penelope, since she also resides on Tracy Island, the main base. Anyway, thanks for keeping Gerry's legacy alive, from Guy Knowles from Stockton-on-Tees in County Durham.
Right, very specific.
England.
Thanks, Guy.
Thanks, Guy.
That's interesting. Well, I think the Lady Penelope and Parker sort of situation and relationship broadens out that whole universe. You can't just have
opens up the
Tracy
world, doesn't
Island
it?
thing in a bubble.
Yeah. And they were also designed to be, a sort of slightly comedy duo, which you didn't have between Carano and Tintin. That wasn't
Bit of light
the
relief.
relationship.
So, and what did Parker have that Carano didn't?
Fab 1.
Right. Okay. And Lady Penelope.
And Lady Penelope. And all the associated stuff. And a criminal record. Actually, we don't know if Carano didn't have a criminal record, I don't think.
Right. Oh, there could be a Fab Fact in this.
Yes, maybe next week's Fab Fact. Carano's secret criminal record. Yeah, in fact, Podsterons, if you know what crimes Carano may have committed before taking his job on Tracy Island, please do email us podcast@gerryanderson.com.
Excellent. Well, Guy will be very pleased because we've reached that part of the podcast. But the randomiser, we just sit back and let Chris take over again.
Is it Thunderbirds Operation Crash
No,
Dive?
we don't know because it's random.
Oh, okay.
But I'm guessing he's got Nicola Bryant to press the button on the old rando.
Oh, well, that is exciting. Do your best or worst, Nicola.
Good luck.
Nicola, my dear, thank you ever so much for coming all the way to Slough to see us today. We have the randomiser here. I hear you're just itching to press the button on this today.
That's an understatement.
So, whenever you're ready,
okay,
go at it and we'll see what you can produce today. That's it, well done. Any particular series you're hoping might come up today?
Oh, almost anything.
Almost
because
anything?
I love them all.
She's going to get some Torchy in that case. Be careful what you wish for. No, it's not Torchy. What is that we've got there?
Is that Terrahawks?
It's Terrahawks.
Episode 32.
How do you know this?
Well, I'm a very knowledgeable woman.
Very knowledgeable woman. It also kind of doesn't hurt that we have the script right here, so she's cheating a bit. But yes, Terratomb, one of my favourites. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Will you come back again and press the button next?
I'd love to.
Brilliant. So, we welcome back to the randomiser after it was only on here at Christmas, Terrahawks, with an episode from the second series, Terratomb, which I happen to have an original script for. I picked this up on eBay reasonably recently. I believe this originates from the model department. This is copy number 21 if you're interested. So I might refer to this through the episode to see if there's any differences between the script and the episode. Although I don't think there are that many with this, unfortunately. But I do love this opening with Zelda making her threat to the Earth. It's the fact that she's got the old-fashioned microphone, kind of like she would have if she was working at the BBC in the 50s. I think it's a lovely touch. And we go from that to a fantastic explosion. Poor little Goybel covering her ears. And this is a scene where, if you're paying close attention, I think it comes up at the bottom right, you can see Christine Glanville operating Zelda. The top of her hair just appears this shot. There she is, briefly. But this is very sweet as well. It Stars created a lovely new bomb and gets a terrifying doll as a reward.
My little dolly.
Yes, the doll's name is Wee Star. In the script, W-E-E Star. A slightly nightmarish scene, this one, I find. Yes, not only for the use of the doll, which has the most interesting eyes, but it's this bit. The switch from Goybel to...
Turnip head after you, man, uncle.
And you get the dramatic music.
Why not? Everyone else does.
Like a dramatic drum beat as well.
Granny Zelda!
Just reinforcing again that Young Star's life since It Star came along is absolute hell. This, I find adorable.
No, I wasn't. Yes, you were.
Leave them alone, youngs.
It's just, what is this show? If you show this episode to someone who's never seen this series, they would think you're insane. They would say, really, there's 30 episodes of this.
Devious plan of all.
Strange characters, a strange family, and it's about to get a lot stranger, of course, as we join Hero on Spacehawk.
You look truly magnificent. So tall. So beautiful.
I can follow along with the script.
And not you, 101. I was talking to my Narcissus. It's just come into bloom.
Oh, I see.
Some lovely 101 bruised ego stuff here, but also one of the greatest 101 moments.
Speaking to one of my boys.
I love what Robbie does with this character all the way along, and having watched him do it, you see him skimming the script and just looking for any moment with 101 that can be built up to make the character a bit more extravagant.
Open fire!
Fire!
Speaking of, we have the return of Yuri the Space Bear, hot on the heels of his previous appearance in the series, in the episode First Strike, which I think was the one made immediately before this. Quite rare that one of the recurring monsters would immediately be straight back in. But Yuri is always great fun, and here we discover that he's...
bent my missile.
What has happened to the Zeef?
Is that line in the script? Oh, I hope it is. No, that line is not in the script. In the script we have, "No, Lieutenant, it was a very near miss."
It's just entering Earth's atmosphere.
No, scrap that, it is in there. So obviously that line was recorded, and then later he says something bent my missile. Completely ignore me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh dear, this isn't helping actually having the script. But I love the fact that young Star is so terrified by this utter crash dive. And Yuri, because he's fixed in this permanent smiley face, all he can do is make his silly noises. And yet it's revealed he's an expert pilot here. I never quite understood with the Zeefs who had the controls and who didn't. It seemed to vary from time to time.
Yuri, you may be ugly, but you certainly know how to fly. Mother!
The script for Yuri just has Yuri, pleased noises. It has descriptions for each of the kind of noises that he will make.
Yet, it is all part of my most devious plan.
Did you give young Star the super macro bomb?
Oh,
And we're coming up on a moment here that was edited out on first broadcast in the UK.
He has a bomb in his pocket.
Wonderful!
This line from Zelda was not shown on first broadcast, I don't think.
I'm going to nail that to your skull.
I presume ITV censors were worrying about children nailing wigs to their skulls. It wasn't the first time they censored the show, because of course we have that wonderful sequence in Two for the Price of One of Sistar giving birth to Itstar. So much of that was cut as well. It's quite sweet that this show is so screwed up that even though it's a kids' show, it is capable of disturbing the ITV censors.
All right, Mary, drop battle tank.
10-10.
And of course, looking at the script here, you have every single shot, even a quick one like that, is marked individually, with some interesting descriptions.
0. Send the battle tank round to that Zeef. If it attempts to take off, shoot it down.
Shoot it down? Yes, sir. You can rely on me, sir.
But these are some nice outside sets here, and I think it's interesting that by this point we have largely moved away from the deserts that the Zeefs would always crash land in. Always some very wide open sandy exteriors. This is a nice sort of path of trees that the battle tank has to make its way through to get to the Zeef, which of course is empty, because we have this rather glorious shot coming up of young Star and Yuri hiding in the bushes, or hiding behind some rocks, I should say.
Someone aboard. Have it search the area.
Sir.
Yes, exterior rocks. Yuri and young Star pop their heads out from behind cover. And this is how it's realised on screen. But again, I love the sense of scale that they've built up here with the back paintings of all those trees and the mountains and such. It's a lovely touch. It's very much a sort of Bob Ross kind of scene. It's quite nice and relaxing to look at.
The battle tank, sir. It's out of action.
Has it been hit?
No, sir. It's a malfunction.
Check it out, 0.
Sir.
And this was always a thing with Yuri episodes. Metallic things being bent out of shape. Metallic characters being duffed up, to use Zero's words.
It's taking off.
But what I find interesting with this is the Terrorhawks never quite seem to work out that it's the same space bear that they're encountering. They meet Yuri in his first episode. There he is. And even though he wears... I think he does continue wearing the name tag. That's a gorgeous shot of him rubbing his chin while thinking. They recognise, oh, that's a space bear, but they don't recognise it's the same space bear.
Oh, Mother, the controls are jammed. Mother!
It's crashed.
So, the battle tank seems to be operational again, sir.
All right, Zero, bring it back. We're returning to Hawk Nest.
Sir.
And it is a very clever plan that Zelda's hatched here.
Claims her own, remember?
Because the Terrorhawks don't seem inclined to investigate the wreckage.
Come here immediately.
We are coming up on a deleted bit from the script here, actually.
That horrible little bear, Mother. He bent the battle tank, but then he bent my...
There's a bit from Zelda and Goibel has been cut there. Zelda explains that he used his power of telekinesis, and Goibel goes, "Tele-who?" And then it cuts to Burlgoy, telekinesis, the ability to bend metal with the mind. I don't know if that was shot and cut for time. There are some, I think there's one episode, Time Warp, where each release, there's a scene where a crucial line has been cut that was shot, and each time it's been re-released, there's been another cut made to it that's made that moment make even less sense, unfortunately. Anywho.
But our furry little friend.
We have one of my favourite shots of the entire series here. I just love the idea of this stupid little character. Yes, he is wearing his name badge, so there's no excuse for the Terrorhawks not to recognise him. He's very helpful in wearing his name badge. Yeah, just the shot of a teddy bear on the end of a parachute is so sweet. But now we're back at Hawk Nest.
Is Zelda, ruler of the universe. This
We have a bit of a problem.
is to tell you that there is now a bomb in your stinking lair, and in one...
Some nice background music here as well, which isn't on the soundtrack CD. I suspect this might come from Midnight Blue.
It can be.
Aboard Battlehawk.
Right, 1050.
1010.
Open White House.
Opening White House.
But of course, Yuri is outside. We can't open the White House
It's jammed.
because of his telekinesis.
Abort takeoff.
1010.
And it is amazing how Yuri looks so cute, so adorable, and then just the addition of those hood-like glowing eyes. Suddenly we have quite a sinister little chap on our hands. Make an emergency landing.
Zero, sound the alarm. This is at 1090.
The Terrorhawks are sealed in their tomb. And in 1 hour from now, they will be blown to smithereens.
And a nice little moment again with Wee Star. But then we get this fourth wall breaking moment.
And they are going to kill...
Which It Star did every so often.
And no one is going to laugh, because I will not allow them to.
Even though that's kind of an odd line to go into the ad break with. I don't understand who he thinks would be laughing. Aside from possibly at him for having a doll. We're recording SOS again for the 100th time. I guess they didn't get it right on the previous recording. But who cares? I've said before, I love the Kate Kestrel songs. I do really enjoy this one, and I also love the way this sequence is directed, particularly that tracking shot approaching Kate there. This is also an interesting point to bring up the fact that in the script, and this goes back to what I said earlier about 101, what Robbie brings to a live performance of Stewed Apples, because so much of the dialogue in the script here is the most basic of points, but it's Robbie who then takes these lines and just spins them off into...
I tell you, you just ruined it. They say 13 is an unlucky...
one word out of 10 in that is in the script.
Where's she gone?
What's happening?
And it's just wonderful to watch him play Stu and realise that he's got it on the tip of his tongue, 24/7.
I think, this is what I think of you, man. Now listen, I think you are a great, fat, stupid...
The script doesn't complete that sentence. I suspect Robbie might have done in the studio.
Yes, madam. I've always had a secret yearning to be a Bentley.
But, of course, they don't really need to rush to Hawknest like this, because I'm sure Hawkeye, who presumably is up in the White House, has got it all under control. Hawkeye will save them. If this didn't fall during that part of the series where Hawkeye tends not to be on the show anymore for reasons that are never explained.
Wait a minute, the elevator might work. It's jammed too.
Yes. I don't know if that was action figures there, or possibly miniature sort of claymation type figures.
Then I'd better get started.
But we're coming up on this sequence here where I think they do animate an action figure or some kind of miniature figure. I do like the passing of time here. Yeah, that shot there, it's quite brief, thankfully, but it just sells the illusion that this is such a long way up to the White House. Oh, and I love Yuri because he's so sweet. If very easily distracted.
Change to camouflage, Hudson.
Yes, madam.
Mary. I made it.
Fantastic, Tiger. Fantastic.
Mary, time's running out. We need to move.
14.
Yeah, again, the question of where Hawkeye is. Maybe he's on leave. I don't know.
Hawk, and stand by for takeoff.
10-10.
But we see here that Yuri is fairly easily distracted.
Are you there?
We're here, Tiger.
By sudden loud noises.
Listen, Tiger. The White House is jammed, and it just happened.
There's a space bear loose in the grounds.
But it's not... They don't seem to twig that it's the same space bear. Even though it's...
How? We have to drain his mind into our computer.
Even though it's clearly the same one, because he's wearing the same gear and he's got the same name tag.
Here's what we do.
Sergeant Major!
And this is a lovely moment from Zero.
Sergeant Major.
And also for Mary, actually. Zero's going to do the manly thing.
Fly, Battlehawk. If that bomb goes off, I die.
Make the ultimate sacrifice.
Sergeant Major! Open this door!
Ours is not to reason why. Ours is but to do and die. Mom?
But of course, we've established by this point in the series that Zero has feelings of his own for Mary. So he does care. He's not going to leave her out there when she pulls this little trick.
Oh, you made me jump.
But this is a sweet moment coming up as well, where we've seen Zero sneak into Tiger's chair every so often.
Get into the doctor's chair and stand by.
And now there's an actual reason for him to do it, other than sneakily playing the video game.
Ready for takeoff?
10-10. All right, Kate? Go.
Meanwhile, Hawkeye is still in the bath, scrubbing his feet, I suppose.
A little.
I just love how easily distracted from his evil plan Yuri gets here.
5 minutes, and victory will be mine!
Start engines.
10-10.
Let me go alone, Mom.
It's no longer a man's world, Sergeant Major.
Ooh.
Start engines.
So.
And having heard that from her, he immediately accepts it. There's no more question.
Is he in position?
She's going with.
Not quite.
Perhaps a more musical approach, madam?
And this is an interesting use of something that was introduced in the very first episode of Terrorhawks, and then I don't think they made much more use of. This huge antenna statue thing over the rose garden, which you don't even see very often in establishing shots. And now they're actually going to make it part of the story for a change. According to the script, Yuri is mesmerized. That's quite a lot to ask this particular puppet to achieve, but...
Minutes.
Mary, take off.
We can't. The White House won't open.
Mary, trust me.
10:10.
The end is nigh, Earthmen.
And it's such a simple idea for a story, but it's...
You can bend metal.
Oh, Tiger's attempted an action hero line there. It's such a simple idea, but like with a lot of the best Terrorhawks episodes, the simple ideas bring out some great character moments. And here we have Yuri, once again, for the third time in his 4 appearances on the show, getting defeated by something heavy falling on top of him. Although this doesn't instantly kill him. They're doing something I don't quite understand here. They're talking about draining his mind into the Hawk Nest computer. Whatever that means, it's distracted him long enough to let Battlehawk go. I mean, presumably that would kill him. And speaking of killing people, we drop the battle tank here. And there it goes. Presumably that's the battle tank we've seen all series. With the Megazoids still stuck in it. Presumably there's no way to get them out. They're dead. Poor Megazoids. Oh, there's another appearance of the prop telephone that I own on Tiger's desk there. I do love my prop telephone. I've mentioned it several times before.
Mother.
Oh, my poor little wee star.
It does also address the question that some people bring up sometimes of what happens in the White House when they open it up. Does everything fall all over the place? You wouldn't have thought it would, but this episode establishes, yes, everything does fall all over the place. Oh dear.
Yuri?
Although in the script it actually says that the room is on its side. Neinstein is hanging by his fingertips from the windowsill, so evidently they either changed that or decided they couldn't shoot it.
Well, Yuri?
Ah, there he is.
Where is it? Under the ice.
And an extended bit of humour at young Star's expense here. I like that Zelda isn't so angry with Yuri and the failure of her plan that she won't sort of co-conspire with Yuri here to make young Star look like an idiot.
Gurgling half-wit for believing me.
And Yuri agrees, because of course he does. And that's Yuri's final appearance in Terrorhawks, unfortunately. I have a real soft spot for the little guy, as indeed I have a real soft spot for that episode. I just think that's great all the way around. As I said, it's such a simple idea, but it makes use of the characters on both sides to create something pretty special. The pacing is just so quick, so energetic. It doesn't have that thing that a lot of the early episodes do, as I've said extensively. That some of them are a bit too talky, a bit too dialogue heavy. This is just, it's slim, it's brisk, it gets the job done, and it does it with style, and it does it with some lovely characters, which is the hallmark of a great Terrorhawks episode. Even though, as I said, where the heck is Hawkeye? We don't know. We will never have an answer to that question. But in the meantime, Terror Tomb is a very good episode of Terrorhawks. Thank you, Nicola.
Terrorhawks.
Terror Tomb. Yes.
Yes.
I just had to check it was that.
Well, by surprise, didn't
Yeah,
I?
I love Terrorhawks. A
I know, I can
Terrorhawks Fab
see-
Fact and a Terrorhawks
I know,
Randomiser.
your little face is beaming. I've never seen you so alive with energy and
Really?
enthusiasm.
It's hard to tell
Apart from
the
that other
difference.
one time.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's good. Terrorhawks, I mean, yeah, nice.
Thanks,
Suppose.
Chris. Thanks, Nicola.
Yes, thanks, Nicola. She'll be back next week to press the button again because she's got the second part of her interview to come as well.
Yeah, so, well, Guy, we'll have to hope that she does better button pressing for Thunderbirds Operation
Yeah.
Crash Dive next time.
Is he sure that hasn't happened already? It's not been shown on the randomizer?
I don't know. I mean, the randomizer himself could opine on this.
No.
No? That was the little silence there was Chris furiously shaking his head. Absolutely not. It hasn't been on. So,
well, I think we've reached the end of the runway. We've run out of runway. That's it for the Gerry Anderson podcast 296. Yeah, so we'll have to come back next week and do the next episode.
Do we have to?
Yes, we do. Well, we've got people to think of. We can't disappoint our loyal listeners and viewers.
All right, even those that don't subscribe or follow us on the various podcast platforms.
But in the meantime, email us at podcast@gerryanderson.com with your thoughts, comments, reviews, and just general gubbins. I said it.
Lovely gubbins. Also, just while I remember, I think on Spotify there is now a new feature called Q&A, where you can ask your questions directly on the Spotify feed while listening to the podcast, and they get emailed to us, maybe, I don't know.
Well, that's a bit weird. Okay,
yeah,
great.
So if you're listening on Spotify, please do go to the Q&A section and ask us a question. And if it isn't there, then I haven't activated it, and email us and tell them we haven't. Okay, let's move on. I think it's the end now.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Bye.
Goodbye.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's get started.
Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
Do you know what the thing that's making me rather sad? I know you said I was bright and beaming or whatever.
But now I can sense a sort of a deflation.
It's because I realised many, many, many weeks ago we suggested that we'd love to have some physical post from our lovely Podsterons.
Yes.
And now we are, I think, 2.5 months hence. It's nice to say the word hence. And we've had not one jot of post.
Not one jot?
No.
No.
Do you think that's just the nature of the digital world we live in, or is it the fact that nobody gives a toss?
No, don't say that. No, it's
or
just
is it both?
People don't write letters anymore.
Do they not?
No. But, we can always hope. Maybe next week. We'll keep an eye out in the post and see what comes.
Because I'm feeling a bit unloved, if I'm honest.
Right.
You're supposed to say something to pep me up there.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah.
That was an Anderson Entertainment production.